Hi everyone, this is Unwanted Jedi, Episode 1. Just a quick disclaimer, I do not own the Star Wars franchise. This is purely a fan work within the Star Wars universe. I was only 8 years old when I had to leave my home. Naboo had just joined the Republic, and had spent a year deciding on our very first senator. My father was so incredibly proud. He was a politician, first and foremost. My brothers and I were happy for him, of course, but I didn't expect what would happen after that. See, I've always had these gifts, I guess. Had them ever since I was a newborn. We knew about the Force, of course. It had never popped up in our family before, as far as any of us knew, though. Still, these powers were there, somehow. The day I left is a blur. I was crying, my middle brother was yelling. Shikulan had always been a little hot-headed. My eldest brother was stoic and silent, while also seeming disapproving. Winter was just like that. But no matter what we wanted, we were children. We weren't given a choice. I could tell that the man who came to get me was uncomfortable with the whole thing. He was tense. Master Khan, as he was known then, he's the Grand Master now, but back then he seemed closed off and intense. He took my hand as we walked onto the ship that would take me to the Republic capital, Coruscant, where I would spend the next year with private tutors until I could catch up to the other students, learn the Jedi ways, learn about the Republic, what my life would be like. So many rules, so many people. The Jedi Academy wasn't what most people would normally think it was. The building had multiple purposes. Yes, young Jedi in training came here and lived in the dorms as they learned. That said, it doubled as a medical school. Jedi could focus more on healing if they wanted, and they would learn Force healing at the same time as regular healer students. At 9, I was the oldest new Jedi student. That was normal. Most of the youngling students couldn't tell you what their birth parents looked like, and they weren't curious. They were raised in those walls. I was different. I was the student that the Jedi Masters were reluctant to take because of my age. They only took me in for 2 reasons. One, being pressure from the Senate. The first Jedi from a newly inducted world looks good on holorecords. 2, because I had a connection to the Force and should at the very least learn how to control it. I don't think they expect me to stick around after I come of age in 5 years. Regardless, today I'm to meet my new master so I can complete my training. The last 5 years are always like this. The traveling, seeing the Jedi Code in action, in real-life situations, learning one-on-one under one of the masters or knights, to finally leave the training saber behind and construct my own lightsaber. Tying up my hair, the red strands were getting long again. I looked in the mirror. The stick-figure child was still there, just taller. The shorter strands fell forward, not quite long enough to stay behind my ears, while the folded bun kept the rest of my hair off my neck. The same dull brown robes that every student, and most Jedi really, wore sat loose around me. They weren't so bad. You could move around in them easily, which I suppose is the point, but the bell sleeves were annoying, constantly flapping about. I rarely wore the long outer robe for that reason. Still, today was a special occasion, I suppose. I would be meeting the Jedi Master the Council decided would finish my training, Master Kane. I had heard of him a few times, but had never met him. Keldor, a species known for a fierce appearance, known for his patience, and a master of Force combat. The kind of person who would defend the innocent to his own death, but only if he absolutely had no other choice. The perfect Jedi by all accounts. Shiku, my roommate and classmate, was excitedly bouncing about. This dark blue Twi'lek had buffed her Leku twice last night and was trying desperately to get me to wear my hair down. Just this once, Six, you always wear it like that. It's a special occasion, and we rarely get a chance to look nice, she said excitedly, nabbing my hairbrush off my bed. I just don't see the point. Besides, he's my teacher, not some forbidden partner. I'm not leaving it down. It's the middle of summer and it's hot, I replied, grabbing my hairbrush from her. Shiku had been trying desperately to get me to admit we were friends since I joined the academy at a shocking 9 years old. Not that the academy's teachers didn't explain the details, but having been crowded by the curious that first week was not my idea of fun. Oh, come on, live a little. You already skipped the graduation party, and the outing, and literally everything else that wasn't 100% mandatory. It's not like I'm asking you to a party. Just let the hair down. One time. Just the once. I won't bug you again, she continued pleading. You and I both know that's a lie. You've been bugging me about it for over a year now. I had been growing it out. Turns out short hair is not easier to manage while combat training. Too short to pull out of your face, but too long to keep out of the way. So I grew it out. It's so long, though, and so pretty. I doubt anyone else here even knows it's slightly wavy. Come on, please. Her pleading eyes, a pale purple color that sparkled when she wanted something, had not even once worked on me. In all the years she had been inserting herself as my friend. Not one time. When has that look ever worked for you? Come on, quit begging like a bantha pup or we'll both be late, I said before putting my hairbrush down and walking towards the sliding door of our shared room. We would come back if introductions went well to grab our few personal items. Notably, everything I owned would fit in a small pouch or shoulder sling. Force forbid Jedi are allowed to have anything nice. I'll win this debate eventually. I must keep trying, she replied as she followed behind me. We were headed towards the front of the building, where a speeder would take us to the Capitol building. I hadn't been there since I finished with the private tutors at age 9. I didn't look forward to going back. I hated the weird looks from all the politicians and such while I was there. Sandworms, the lot of them. As if I couldn't hear them whispering. Keep telling yourself that. Maybe one day you'll convince me, I said as I threw the outer robe on while stepping out the front doors. The light was bright outside, making me squint. The white and glass buildings and constantly moving speeders did not help. Hey, there's the speeder. Let's go. Oh, good, a droid driver. Not as fast, but they're great at skipping the traffic lanes. Sheikah was practically bouncing as she approached the speeder with me. I just sighed as I climbed in. The speeder wasn't anything fancy, just a droid-powered taxi. The company that owned them had a whole thing about driving the Jedi and their students around for free, so it wasn't like we should have expected anything else. All the drivers with this company were droids, too. The drive was short, and Sheikah was too busy looking about to speak much outside of her excited giggles. Still, we landed without incident, which was a mild miracle. Sheikah was bouncing in her seat so much that I was worried the taxi would tip over. The Senate Tower loomed ahead. The ridiculously tall, pure white building with the massive Republic banners on either side was just as unnecessarily opulent as I remembered it. The colored glass windows sparkled and shimmered in the sunlight. The gold-tipped spires jutted into the sky like a king's spear. It was beautiful and cold as the ice of Hoth. Senators and public figures shuffled to and fro with flamboyant robes in as many exotic colors as there were people. It was like a kaleidoscope of bright colors, enough to make you dizzy if you just stood staring. This building held the greatest collaboration of species in the entire Republic. Great minds and powerful figures from across the galaxy all gathered in one place. It was organized chaos, if there ever was such a thing. It's so tall. You've been here, right? How did you manage to find your way around? Sheikah said, looking both exuberantly happy and slightly overwhelmed at the same time. Most of the building is wasted ceiling space. I've only been on 3 different floors, and only about 5 are regularly used. The right spire there is where the Senate meetings are held. The spire on the left is where the Jedi Council room is near the top. The bottom half is the Jedi Library. The spire on the back holds all the sleeping chambers for visiting dignitaries. The very top floor is nothing but meeting rooms. The 4th floor is for local officials, mostly just their offices and such. Level 3 is where the local library is. I spent most of my time there and in the Jedi Library. Floor 2 has a massive mess hall and more offices. These offices are smaller and usually for assistants and stuff. The main floor is just a fancy entrance hall, but at the back there's a podium where the Senate heads can hold press conferences. They set up hover chairs for anyone who wants to be there in person. There's also a couple of medical bays scattered around, one on each floor and the main one on the bottom floor. Underneath the main floor, though, are the primary power conduits that keep this entire section of the planet going, I explained as we started heading towards the building. We were going to the Jedi Spire. We were supposed to have our little meeting in the council chambers. My greatest struggle was keeping Shiku from walking into people and walls as she tried to take in every detail of the building on our way in. I was able to steer her to the left and up a flight of stairs. Getting her onto the lift was like winning a battle of wills. The pure glass walls of the lift offered a beautiful view of Coruscant as we ascended. "Hey, are you ready? We're almost there," I said as we approached the top, partly to get Shiku off the glass and to help calm her down. Yeah, I'm ready." She was suddenly tensing. Jeez. "Hey, deep breath. They are our teachers, just like at the academy. It's just the next class. Come on, you've been practically bouncing out of your skin with excitement for the last week," I said as the lift doors opened. The large doors to the council chambers were on the other side of the entry hall. The hall itself wasn't crowded, but it wasn't empty either. Stepping out of the lift, I looked about. This was slightly uncharted territory. The last and only time I had been in this room was when I was 8 years old, the day I arrived. Grandmaster Linto had assigned my classes that day. He passed in his sleep after I left for the academy. Grandmaster Khan took over after him. "Ah, there you two are. Right on time, as expected. No troubles on the way, I hope." Matron Tenra was the head of the girls' dorms at the academy. It was part of her job to introduce the female students to their new teachers when leaving the academy. She was nice enough, if a bit stuffy. "No troubles, matron," I responded politely. "Nope, all good," Shiku said casually. "Excellent. Come now, both of you, right this way through the doors. Your new masters are ready to meet you both," she said, all business, as always. We followed her across the entry hall, the plush blue carpet rug softening our footsteps. The glistening marble pillars stood tall and strong. I barely noticed as we walked forward. The two doors were curved, like the top of an egg, and incredibly tall, at least 20 feet. They stood wide open, a cold, calm embrace. The chamber itself was a circular room. A massive table went around the center. Directly in the middle was a large, floor-to-ceiling holoprojector. Tall hover chairs sat around the table. The chairs remained unoccupied for now. Off to the side, I could see them. They stood there talking to each other. Jedi Knight Sokoto and Jedi Master Kane. Knight Sokoto was clearly young and had an air of confidence that seemed to be part of his very skin. He was well-groomed, and his robes were clearly well-maintained. He had short black hair and the start of laugh lines around his brown eyes. Jedi Master Kane was clearly a calming presence. As a Keldor, he was obviously startling-looking at first, but the very air around him had a calming tone. His robes were pristine, but a surprising shade of pale blue. His skin sort of reminded me of sand in color. The power of these two was incredibly clear, though it was obvious they were very different. Just the way the force circled around them was different. "Masters, here they are," Matron Tenra said, getting the master's attention. Perfect. Thank you, matron." By the force, Knight Sokoto was loud. We were the only ones in here. There was absolutely no need to practically shout. "Of course, sir. Padawan Shiku and Zix. Wonderful students both," Matron Tenra said as she bowed before walking away. Well, great. Now I felt awkward. I hate meeting new people. "It's an honor to meet you, masters," I said, giving a slight bow as was appropriate, but I still felt out of place. Shiku was quick to follow my lead by bowing, though she was strangely silent. "The pleasure is ours, young one." Master Kane was far calmer, his voice slightly gravelly through his mask. "Nice to meet you. I can't wait to start training." Ah, there was Shiku. I was wondering when her nerves would abate. That's the spirit. You must be Shiku. A pleasure. Looking forward to training you. First things first, though, we are all going to my favorite place, Ilum! Knight Sokoto was far too loud. Why do some people feel the need to speak so unnecessarily loudly? Within a cave on the planet, you will be able to gather the crystal that will power your own lightsaber. This will be the first step of your specialty training, Master Kane continued. I nodded in understanding, not really feeling the need to speak so much as wondering if winter robes would be a wise stop. Ilum was a cold ice planet. I can't wait, Shiku stated excitedly. She had gone back to bouncing with excitement. How she managed to figure out meditation was a mystery. I'm prepared to leave at any time, Master Kane, I replied. I hoped they didn't expect me to talk much. I've always been wary of strangers, especially strangers in power. We will be leaving immediately. Come along, we can get acquainted on the way there. We will be taking my personal shuttle. Shall we? Master Kane explained and gestured for us to follow them. I nodded. It wasn't unusual for Jedi to have personal shuttles. Many did. Freedom of movement allowed the Jedi to deploy where they were needed independently of the Republic military. Battle-worthy and fast, but often sparse. Not uncomfortable, just no frills. Jedi who moved mostly on their own usually had single-man ships, barely larger than fighters. Others, those that collaborated their efforts, had larger vessels that could house anywhere from 5 to 15 people if temporarily. Based on his service record, Master Kane fell into the latter category. Most of his real big wins were alongside the military or in defensive positions. Knight Sokoto, however, seemed like the opposite. His record was only given to Shiku, but she tended to overshare. I knew he often led battles, a front-runner, though he also worked often as a diplomat. I doubt that a personal ship would fit 4, and it seemed like we were all going at once. Sensible, really. I could appreciate that. Maybe I could get along with Master Kane. He seemed the pragmatic sort. You okay? You haven't said much, Shiku whispered to me as we walked back out of the Capitol building, following behind them. Just observing, seeing what others might not. I want to get along with our new teachers. I just don't know them, I explained. This was hardly new. What do you think? They seem like good teachers, and they've both had students before, Shiku wondered at me. So far, I can't tell. Their auras are so different. I think it might just be a good matchup, though. Master Kane seems the calmer of the two. We shall see on the way to Ilum, though. That trip takes around 3 days in a fast vessel, 5 in a slower one. Either way, we'll have time to figure it out. I just hate this part, the weird in-between part after meeting someone, I reasoned. Makes sense. I'm looking forward to it, but you're right. I don't really know what to do or say. Still, there are several steps to building a lightsaber. This is only the first. Let's see what happens. Shiku was an optimist by nature. It worked for her as her lips spread into an excited, happy smile. The ship itself was docked within the spaceport. While nowhere near the size of a battlecruiser, the vessel was massive in person. Workers of all types scurried about doing a final check. It had been getting a refuel and systems check for the last few days. White and orange as most Republic ships were, with a triangular front and 6 large boosters on the back. The heavy guns attached to the front were menacing reminders that this was not a cruise ship. I could see the way the heavy armored panels interlocked, protecting the interior even without shielding. Though slightly smaller, it reminded me more of a heavily armed mini consular ship. This vessel could house up to 10 people comfortably, while a full-size consular ship typically could house 50. My hands almost itched to see the engine. If there was one thing I could call a hobby, it was engineering. No force necessary, just materials melted down into lumps of metal, then worked into seemingly random shapes. Shapes that fit together like a puzzle, trading everything we had. At the end of the day, even a hyperdrive was nothing but metal and electric currents. Pure art and hard work and science coming together to make the most sophisticated ships, terminals, buildings, and even a Jedi's lightsaber. "Do not start. I can see you taking the ship apart in your head," Shiku said in a chastising manner. She had seen me tinkering before. I had taken my pocket communicator apart several times, trying to improve one thing or another. "I'm not about to take an entire ship apart. I was only curious about the engine specs. Calm down," I responded, knowing she was being silly. Honestly, how long did she think it would take one person, with or without the Force, to take a ship this size apart and put it back together? "Right, and I'm a Hutt Lord. Come on," she said as we started boarding. "Enjoy the art of engineering, do you?" Master Kane's voice came up next to us as he and Knight Sokoto joined us. "I do," I said, keeping myself from flinching, having not seen them approach. Barely. "Don't let her downplay it. She'll reprogram this whole ship for you if you let her," Shiku interjected. Honestly, that was unnecessary information. Not untrue, just unnecessary. "Ha! A good talent to have around. You never realize how important a good engineer is until you need one mid-flight." I could sense a story of experience in Knight Sokoto's words there. "What do you mean? Surely you would just land for repairs," Shiku said like it was obvious. "This is not always an option, young one. Normally, yes, that would be the ideal. Many times such issues can arise in the midst of battle. However, and the Empire will not wait for such repairs or fight fair," Master Kane replied. "I just wanted to get going at this point. I was not happy being the center of attention. We'd only just met, after all. Let us go. We have flight clearance. We should not hold up the other ships by dallying." Thank the Force for Master Kane and his pragmatism. The ship's interior was sparse as I expected, meticulously clean. The on-ramp led up to a rounded room in the back where a large hollow terminal sat in the center. There was a set of stairs on either side leading down to what I could only assume was the living quarters or engine room. Behind the ramp was the command room. Terminals sat all around the captain chair, small but efficient. There was a long conference room to the right of the command room. On the opposite side was what looked like a meditation room. An astromech droid sat off to the side between the conference room and the command room. "TN-30, prepare takeoff," Master Kane said as he took the controls. The little droid beeped about, closing the hatch. I could feel the energy of the ship as it started to hover upwards, the vibration of the landing gears as they folded into the belly of the ship. I could hear the release hatch above us opening. Then the energy shifted back towards the thrusters as we continued ascending. I remained planting my feet slightly to maintain balance as the ship moved slightly before quickly starting forward. Shiku nearly lost her balance as we turned slightly before leaving the atmosphere, and the internal gravity set allowing free movement. We paused briefly before the hyperdrive took over, moving us at light speed toward our destination. We were off to Ilum.